Hi, thank you so much for tuning in to P2P Relates, where we talk about all things relationships. I'm Pat Renfro, and as you can see, I have a guest today, Mr. Phillip Brown. Thank you so much for joining us today. I want to talk to Mr. Brown about relationships from a very different perspective. But before we go there, just want to remind you that this channel is about all things relationships. I always try to get people to understand that when you are living in this world, we all have to interact with each other. We have to have relationship. Now, we could have funky relationship, we could have dysfunctional relationship, or we could have healthy relationships. But if we're not healthy, we don't know who we are, then our relationships are going to be jankety. But what I want people to understand is that when we go to church, even, we know most of the stuff the pastor said. He's not saying rocket science, but it's reminders that we need. So I'm on this channel to talk about foundational principles. I'm not covering every aspect of every kind of relationship people could ever get into. That's on you. But as you're getting into whatever it is you choose to get into, these principles about self-development, dating, marriage, business relationships, friendships, all that matters. And it shows up in whatever choices you're making. So I'm here to give you foundational principles and to remind you about what works and what's not probably going to work. So today what I want to do is I want to have Mr. Brown talk to us about his perspectives on relationships. My question to you is, as a single man, what is your perspective on relationships? And in your opinion, how do you see single people out there managing their singlehood?
Okay, there's so many groups of single people, so I have to stick with maybe just one prism because it's a whole bunch of them. So the first thing I got to do is just talk about the Christian relationships, okay? So people who believe in Christ, you should be aware of the rules there are as far as dating, which means no sex, that you are doing it with the intention of being married. This is for marriage. And then you have certain relationships where they're just for, you might have them for lifelong because they're just friends of yours, acquaintances, or you might have somebody that just helps you make it psychologically or intellectually or anything like that, non-sexual, more like agape love, so you got those kind of friends. So you got friends, you got people who you're dating to get married, and then you got marriage relationships, which is outside what we're talking about. The first thing as far as that is, you still got the difference between a man and a woman. The woman's supposed to be waiting for these guys to come and date them. They're not supposed to be dating. They're not supposed to be going out and dating like they're the hunter. Women are not the hunter in the Christian book. In the book, they're not the hunter.
Okay.
Right. So if you a hoe, then you're a hunter. A hoe is a cougar. If you're a cougar, you ain't trying to be in the book. You're just trying to be a cougar, try to get you some. So that might be your nature to get you some. But you being a single out there just woofing, no, that's not going to happen. But if you're a Christian, the woman's supposed to wait on the man to come. The man is the one that's supposed to go out and looking for the woman. He has to pray, and hopefully he can pick the right one, and then praise the God, make sure he does the right thing before they get together and before he asks them to marry him, all that stuff. You just try to get permission from God. So that's the matrix. So the matrix is the real pretty world where everything is perfect and all of that other stuff. And then you have the real world. And the real world is, you got people saying, oh, I love you guys, I love you and all that other stuff. But then they got a Facebook story. And in the Facebook story, that can only be seen by their friends. And for that woman, maybe 95% of her friends are men. And she just sitting up there showing cleavage and being all sexual and all that stuff, and then got a caption that say "Praise the Lord." All right, so then you got these women that are single, but they acting like they single out in the world because they got Facebook stories. So they showing these real nice pictures of their breasts, underclothes, and they got cleavage going on. And then they got "I love you" across the bottom and all of that stuff. And then the thing that gets me is that if you ain't trying to holler at all these guys just looking at this story, why they got 3 hearts and beautiful and wow and very pretty. It's already in there. You ain't even got to say nothing. They ain't even got to say nothing. You come up with the compliments for them, which means the women that you are reaching out to all these dudes or other women, probably, I don't know. It could be both ways. But if you're doing that, you're not doing it the book way. Now, if you just somebody and you know about God, but you ain't really Christian and you dating, but you want to keep it straight, when you do stuff like that, you fishing. Not catfishing, but you fishing. So if you fishing, just know you out there just trying to get your groove on and you honing it, you know, trying to get you some. So if you're doing that, you probably don't see nothing wrong with it. But if you're trying to be a Christian, that's a different story. We live by a different standard. So if you're doing that, you need to cut that out.
Now, but wait a minute. Okay, so we know, unfortunately, that there's lots and lots of different spiritual perspectives out there, tons and tons. So whether you're professing to be a Christian, practicing a Christian, or you're atheist, or you're whatever, you know, does it make sense to be doing all that on Facebook?
Well, it depends on what lane you're in.
Because see, in my mind, if it's not a moral issue, it's still probably ineffective for you in the long run.
Well, it is, because like, let's say you're single, and to me, if you have a boyfriend, you're still single, but you might be in a relationship with somebody, but you're still single. So let's say you're in a relationship with somebody, and then that person said, okay, I want you to be my girlfriend, my boyfriend. And then y'all together and y'all decide y'all not gonna date other people, then why you got a Facebook story saying, I'm thickness, I'm hot, I'm who you want. What, you know, and then you're on Instagram talking about what's your favorite position. and when you get on there, what turns you on? What's sexy about you? But then your thing is, oh, I don't respond to it. I just ask the question so I can get some responses. See, you're an emotional cheater. You're a cheater. You just ain't done the physical thing yet. So you're a virtual cheater. Yeah, you're a VC, virtual cheater. Yeah, emotional and virtual cheater. Yeah, you are.
So where do you think that relationships are, especially for, just in your opinion, you may or may not know this, but when you look at 30-year-olds, 30 to 45, where do you think people are today in their mindset around dating or marriage? Like, do you even think that they're interested in marriage anymore?
There's this guy on Facebook, and he had this woman, and she walked down the street. She looked like she's 30 to 35, makes sense. And one dude came up to her and said, hey, you look beautiful. He's like, excuse me, why are you talking to me? Leave me alone. Then she goes to the next guy, and he looks at her, and he's like, man, you hot. Yo, can I get your digits? He's like, excuse me, I do not know you. I don't know why you're talking to me. Then he goes to the next person and talks to him, and then he disses him. So she goes into her apartment, and then this guy, he always sings, only you. And she's like, where you come from? He said, I just got a question. He said, you ain't really interested in having no man, are you? And she said, oh yeah, I want a man. He said, well, you just had 3 you passed by, and you just totally destroyed all of them. How you gonna get a man? Well, they gotta have a job, and they gotta have this, and they gotta have that, and all this stuff going on. And they got guys coming to them, talking to them, but they can't even take it. You too old, you too young, you don't make enough money, they ain't the right car. They not focused. They not focused. So them 30, 35-year-olds, that's gonna be the what I call the era of the cat woman. Because you're just gonna end up with a bunch of cats in an apartment somewhere. That's where you're gonna end up at. You're gonna be 70 years old with 50 cats. Yeah, you are. Because
you think they're too particular these days.
Too particular and don't really have no relationship goals, and they walk around like the boo-boo don't stink. And I mean, it's just something wrong with them. Now, the people that's 20-something, I would encourage them to not even think about getting no relationship. Just start working on your foundation, what your career is, find out what your passion is in your life, have friends. If you're gonna have a boyfriend, have about 12 of them. If you're gonna have a girlfriend, have about 15 of them that you just go out with and just have fun, kick it with, and they take care of the different psychological and physiological, all these different needs that you have. You got a friend that takes care of those. One of the things that helps my life is I always hang around people that's smarter than me, like the guy that set up my session. he's smarter than me. I like people that's intellectually superior to me. So that's the only people I hang around. If you ain't got no technical skills and you just as dumb as I am, you probably not gonna be hanging out with me. So that's one type of friend that I have. And I might have 10 other friends that do other things that I need to have done. I have friends that are very spiritual, where we gonna study the Bible and get down deep into it. You know, I got other friends. I haven't found one yet, but I'm trying to find a friend that likes to play basketball so I can get my 10-day contract of $148,000 because I've been on here for 30 minutes. So I got charge extra $2,000 to get my 10-day contract. But I just try to have friends like that. For the people that's younger like that, I encourage them to do that. Don't try to get no relationship. Now, if you find somebody, that's a blessing. But don't be looking for it. Just let it happen.
And say why.
Because when you're younger, you're really setting up your foundation, especially for a man. If a man is not settled in what he wants to do, he's not going to be a good mate, because that's the only thing he's concentrating on is if I'm good enough and can I support my family. We really don't want our women to work. I don't want my women to work. I don't.
You don't?
I want to have enough so whenever she wants, honey, I need a better car. All right, it'll be out there Wednesday at 4:30. Honey, I want a new dress. You don't know where Amazon is? Duh.
That's cool. It's pretty interesting. You made the full gamut. You just went 360 degrees on the relationship. And I mean, your thoughts are kind of traditional and almost old school.
Yep.
Because there's not that many guys out there that are saying, hey, you know, I want to be successful enough to be able to handle whatever my woman wants, to be able to bless her with that.
Let me tell you this one. Them men is like that. They like the little kids in class where you hit them with a rubber band. They be like, oh, you hit me. Oh. Yeah, that's what kind of man those are. Literally sissy man.
But you just got through criticizing the woman who looked at him and said, he ain't ready for me. And she blew him off, and you're like, you're being too picky. So which is it?
I think you can go both ways. I'm just saying, in general, men want to be the providers. Like, even though he might not be as rich or as he is, that's why a lot of men might have trouble with the woman making more money than him, because he wants to be the one to take care of the home, and that's something that God put in him. That's not even something that you really get a choice from. Psychologically, we are bred to be the breadwinners, and we should want to be. Now, I'm not saying nothing wrong with you if you're not the breadwinner, but if every man I know that's worth his salt, he wants to take care of his family. I'm glad things are going good. The economy is opening up. My daughter come up and ask me, oh, Dad, I need, I'll be like, okay, cash out, bam, you done. She ain't got to worry about nothing. Right. Now, the problem with that is, inordinate number of pair of tennis shoes. I am not buying her no more tennis shoes. She ain't getting no more tennis shoes unless she give me put a pair in my hand so I can get them out of here. But that's one of my greatest feelings, that I can take care of. I can pay my child support, not even have to think about it. You know, I love it. Love it.
So in response to what you just said, I really appreciate it. And I know that there are other thought processes that people have out there, different value systems that they have about relationships. And so I'm interviewing Mr. Brown, and that's his position. And that's what I wanted to hear today. I just want to say how critically important, as you progress in your life, that you really find out who you are. I agree with him that sometimes we're so busy thinking about what our relationship is going to look like and what kind of person we'd like to marry and what they've got to do or be or have or be about and all that. But are you clear about who you are and what you're about? Have you done your work? Are you stable? Are you settled? Are you whole? Are you complete? If you got to a place in your life where you would never again be married, or you found out you just weren't going to be able to get with somebody, could you find happiness as who you are right now? And I think that part of the problem I see in society today is that we're looking for hookups, but we're not really whole. And so we're trying to be fragmentedly going into a relationship, but we don't really know who we are, and we don't see the value in who we are. And as a result, we get into some messy stuff because we end up getting in relationships or making commitments based on emotions. And I'm telling you, the moment you decide that the reason you're going to marry somebody, or you're going to move in with somebody, or you're going to be single with someone else, is because they make you feel so wonderful and so loved and so complete, you're in trouble. and that relationship is in trouble. It doesn't mean it can't work, but I'm telling you, before you get to the other side of that thing where it's healthy and where it does work, you have paid a whole bunch of dues. Y'all have gone through a whole lot. So if I can't leave anything else with you today, I want to say, please make sure that you work on you. And Mr. Brown was right when he talks about children need the nurturing of their parents. Their foundation is set by the people who birthed them into this world. But if those people are inadequate in that area for whatever reason, maybe their parents were inadequate to them and those parents were inadequate, then that child won't get it. So at some point, we've got to teach our young people how to get what you need if you didn't get it from the right source.
Yeah, we all need to come together and work on that, and don't just look at somebody and see they have an attitude or have an attitudinal problem child and say, oh, I don't know how to fix that. Yeah, you know how to fix it. You show them love.
Love will fix it, right.
And it ain't always about giving them money and all of that stuff. It's about spending some time. I had a friend of mine and she said, you're with your kids, but are you really spending time with them? Are you just in the house with them? You're in the kitchen and they're watching TV. Y'all not together.
That's right.
But if y'all together playing tennis, y'all at the lake and there's no phone and y'all talking about, and you talking to them and they talking to you, that's when you're really spending time with your kids.
Right.
But if you ain't spending time with them, you just there at the same time, that does not count.
And then the world's going to influence them. The world's going to be the one to teach them who they think they are. And they're going to be really confused for a really long time. All right. Well, Phillip, this was great. We'll have to come back and do some more of it. Thank you so very much for accepting this interview invitation. Anything else you want to say in closing?
Well, when we do the next one, we do the wilding out one.
Okay.
Get to them crazy issues where you might have to put down explicit material.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll have to do that.
So listen at your own risk, because it's about to be on like a microphone.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to P2P Relates, where we talk about all things relationship. Hit that subscribe button, and that way you can be a part of this group where we're going to start more and more talking as a collective about relationships. And also, if you tap the bell, whenever I upload, which is every Friday, you will get notification. And finally, give us a like on this conversation. Comments are always welcomed, and I will see you next Friday. Bye. Thanks, Phillip.